Well, we can look at some of the match highlights now. Well, Rangers did look the most comfortable of the two sides to start off with during the first half of the match. Kenny Miller coming close here to open the scoring within 30 minutes, but it just wasn't meant to be. He had a lively night to start off with, and it would have been a different story if that had have gone in. But here we go again. Nacho Novo was another one who was quite lively tonight. He did well. He kept his composure. Pass to Kevin Thompson, who really gave the Rangers fans something to cheer about. His second Rangers goal of his career. It all looked good at this stage, and we thought this could have been Rangers' night. It was all going to plan. All important away goal, and of course it went from bad to worse. This effort here, a stunning free kick from Kaunas, and Alan McGregor had absolutely no chance. It was a bad time to lose the goal just a few minutes before the interval, and that indeed did give Kaunas the lift. Well, Rangers were under pressure, and here we go, off the crossbar. That could have gone in and that would have killed the tie off, but unfortunately Rangers at this point were still very much in the match. Andrzej Swilicka, well, he came on for Charlie Adam and he nearly scored against his old club. It was the best chance of the second half for Rangers, and what an outcome it would have been if that had gone in. Well, here we go. This was the one. This was the sucker punch for Rangers. And it was former Heartsman Linus Pilibaitis who scored that goal. He said last week that he didn't show what he was made of in Scotland with his time at Hearts. Well, tonight, I'm afraid he did, guys.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. And you just see the caption there. And second half, I thought they were excellent, made the best chances. What will disappoint Walter tonight and the players, it was two set plays that's put them out of Europe. The free kick, Alan and I had a chat about it. Alan McGregor, who was in outstanding form last year, fantastic at the back there. I thought he had a poor game tonight. I thought the free kick, he could have done a little bit better with it. And the goal that puts him out with 3 or 4 minutes to go, it's a set play, the guy gets a free header, and Nacho Novo and McGregor are in each other's way, and it's a real soft goal and a bad goal. They were goals that the lads weren't losing last year, and that's a big disappointment, and it's cost dearly.
Well, we saw from those pictures from the BBC that it was just a nervy and one unbelievable night, and one the fans will just not believe at this point.
No, the first week of August and you're out of Europe. Totally.
Domestic football now until this time next year. It's just unbelievable.
Well, domestic treble. Let's try look at a
well, that's
a
the
positive
only way
spin
next year to get to the group stages of the Champions League. They must go out and win this title now.
Yeah, I think so, but they won't be thinking about that tonight. I'm sure that is a real quiet dressing room. Will be very disappointed players in there. Everybody was expecting to go over. Yes, Alan hit the nail on the head by saying wasn't a great performance at Ibrox, but we've been used to that. And still going away from home, getting the result, grinding it out. Kenny Miller had a wee chance in the opening. You could see the goal coming. Novo does brilliant for Thompson's goal. Yeah. Great finish, and you think, here we go. It's a 2 or a 3-0 victory. It's easy. But to lose that crucial goal just 3 minutes before half-time, it's a cheap free kick. Yeah. And the guy strikes it well, but I still say Alan McGregor, with the season he had last year, for me, should have got a wee bit better hand on it.
Alan, did we miss Barry Ferguson and Carlos Coelho tonight?
I don't think you can say that. Was it the team that got put out there should have been enough, or should have been capable of taking the tie, obviously, to the next phase. Barry is missing for 3-4 months. Carlos is obviously out again. You've got a squad, and he's built a squad that can handle these injuries, or should be able to handle these injuries, especially against a poor opposition, as we had this evening. They didn't step up. They didn't obviously raise their game. And it's again, it's a very sad time for them. After the euphoria last year, getting all the way to the final, you're out in the first stage this year. But domestic football, it's got to be. You've got 3 trophies to go for this year. Hopefully you can win 3 of them, but obviously the main one, as I said to you at the end of last year, is the league. You've got to win the league.
You were right. Unfortunately, you were right, Alan. Gordon, how can they go from a UEFA Cup final a couple of months ago to be beaten and put out of Europe by Kaunas?
I'm not trying to make excuses. Kaunas has played more games and they looked more match fitness than what Rangers were. Rangers looked off the pace. Just touching on Alan's point about did they miss Ferguson or Queller? Yes, we can agree that there's enough experience, enough players to go out there and win that game tonight. No doubt about that. The big factor to me was they didn't seem to have a bit of leadership on the park, and I think that's where Barry gives them. He drives them from the middle of the park.
He just takes them to a different level, doesn't he?
He's their captain. When he sees it drop him a little bit, he gets on top of players and gets a response. That didn't happen tonight. When I've watched Rangers last season and the great run they had in the European campaign, they worked as a team, they worked as a unit. I didn't see that tonight in the play whatsoever. And it's not, it's still a lot of the players are still there. I thought Alan McGregor probably looked as poor as he's ever looked. The back four didn't look as solid as what they normally look. Yes, Queller's out there, player of the year, was a big miss for them, but they still should have handled that. But they just, when they went 1-0 up, you say, right, let's take it the next step, let's go and get that killer goal. But instead, they went on the back foot again. They played for their defensive breakaways, and Kaunas just come into the game and thoroughly deserved to be through.
Alan, what do you think the difference is this time around?
Again, was it Gordon's touch that defensively we weren't conceding, and we weren't conceding cheap goals. Cheap goals, again, if you look at the eventually the goal that puts us out, the lad gets in front of three players. There's Weir, I think it's Whittaker, and could be McCulloch. So there's three Rangers players all behind the Kaunas player who's attacking the ball. It's a good downward header. Again, it looks like McGregor and Novo have got in each other's way, but they're just not attacking it. Again, David Weir, he just looked a little bit slow this evening. Had a great season last year, but unfortunately, in the past now, you've got to obviously look forward. We've got domestic campaign starts on Saturday, or against Falkirk. You've got to start well there. You don't want, obviously, your rivals to get a jump ahead of you. That, obviously, the Old Firm derby is at the end of the month, so it's coming thick and fast. It's coming thick and fast. You've got to obviously pick yourself up. Domestically, 3 trophies to go. I'm sure Walter will start driving in that the league is one that you've got to win, because obviously the Champions League where we would like to be, not sitting out looking in by the end of the first week in August.
I wonder what the fans think about tonight's result, and we can go to the phone lines now. Jeffrey Noble, what do you make of the match tonight?
Very disappointing. Obviously, as Harkins at the start of the season, and where the games haven't been played. But what I would like to say is about Barry Ferguson tonight. I thought he's vastly missed in the middle of the park. And Walter has went and bought 2 strikers in Kyle Lafferty and Kenny Miller. It cost him £5 million, and yet he won't spend the money and sign Steve Davis, who Steve Davis tonight, he came there at the end of last season from loan from Fulham, and he came and he proved himself, and I thought he'd have been the man tonight to take the middle of the park control and creativity from the middle of the park, which was crying out for. And I just want to ask Gordon and Alan on their thoughts on that.
OK, Jeffrey, thanks for your comment. The middle of the park, it does seem a big problem for Rangers at the moment, Gordon.
Yes, it certainly is. With Barry out through this injury, it definitely is. They didn't look a balance in the middle of the park tonight. I know McCulloch dropped back in there. I thought maybe Walter would have played him out in the left, because in the European campaign they hit the diagonal ball and he's great in the air and they feed off that. But he didn't. He decided to keep him in there, and the balance wasn't right. There was nobody driving him. And Jeffrey's right with his point there. Davis, when he came, he gives everybody a lift. He was driving, he made great runs, he was busy, he livened everything up. It didn't seem a ham tonight in that middle of the park for that. And I think that's what, obviously Kenny Miller playing up there himself, it's a hard striker's role, that when you're up there alone and asked to do all the work, it's important you must get support from your midfield to the striker then to give him a hand. It just didn't happen tonight.
Alan, do you think Steve Davis could have made a big impact tonight?
Again, it could have made an impact. I think last year we were maybe lacking strikers. We had enough cover in midfield. This season it looks like it's maybe reverse, where we're lacking obviously quality in the middle of the park. Barry Ferguson, a huge miss, but again it is a miss and you've got to go on with it. Steve Davis, with his energy, he did do very, very well when he joined last year. Again, money always comes into it. Fulham want X amount of pounds, Rangers are not willing to pay it, so again you've just got to move on. Kyle Lafferty has come along, Velichka, Kenny Miller, so it looks like we're covered up top, but we could be lacking a bit of quality in the middle of the park, and I'm sure Walter will look to maybe strengthen that prior to the start of the campaign.